So you think that picking up your phone and scrolling on Instagram or Facebook or whatever you scroll on is actually giving your brain a break? Well, you're mistaken. And you know what? I'm going to help you today to figure out what you can do to actually get a good break without picking up this device. And we're going to get there in just one moment. Hi there. Welcome to Stress Talk Live. This is the place where we help women over 40 to live healthier lives through strategic stress management and solution focused self care. I'm your host, Marcyline Bailey, and I'm so glad that you joined me today. We are talking about useless breaks. These are breaks that you take and you think you're getting a benefit from, but not really. And I'm going to share with you four, yes, four stress breaks that actually work for you. Let me adjust this a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so I'm not going to belabor things because, yeah, let's just jump right into it, okay? Um, oh, I will say this though. Please like, subscribe, and the let me just slow down. See, I was in my class a few minutes ago and it ended. That's why I'm getting on late. So now I'm rushing, but I'm not going to rush. I'm going to take a deep breath and slow down and pull myself together. Okay, here we go. Please like and subscribe to ML Bailey Consultants on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. There. Phew. Brought myself down. Okay. So let's jump into our topic for today. We are talking about useless breaks. Useless breaks. And I'm going to share with you the four stress breaks that actually work. So why do you think that I like this? I like it because we often talk about taking a break at work, and when we take that break, we go back to what we were doing, but we end up feeling just as um, stressed as we were when we took the break, right? We pick up our phone, we scroll a little bit, we check out the news feed, what's going on in the world. We also check out what's going on IG, who said what. We laugh at a few of the posts or we respond to a few of the posts, and that's our break. But it doesn't really give our brain a break. And I want to talk about, before I get into the four stress breaks that actually work, I want to give you a little bit of information about chronic stress as well as the science behind stress. How about that? Okay. So I have my notes over here. I'm thinking I might put them over here, but I do have them right here. So if you see me going back and forth, like my head's going like right now, uh, just, I don't want to give you whiplash. Just explaining what I'm doing. I'm looking at my notes and trying to stay on track. So here's our topic. We're talking about useless breaks, and I'm going to share four stress breaks that actually work for you. First, I want to talk about chronic stress and what it is. We talk about stress, and people always say, I'm so stressed. Well, you've heard me say this often, that chronic stress is with us, right? When we forget that our stress level, we have to have a certain stress level just to get up. It motivates us, right? To get up and to do things. But what tends to happen is when we are under pressure, when we are going through some difficulties, when we have deadlines to meet and we have to meet them, or we feel something bad's going to happen, when we're dealing with situations at home or at work that seem to compound, our stress level goes up and it goes up, but it doesn't go all the way back to a relaxed state. It goes up and it may come to maybe this level, but we're still stressed. And I want to share a little bit with you about what that actually means. And I am going to have to switch some things over here because I want to share a few slides with you. Let's see. Let me pull some stuff up for you, okay? And here. So I put together oh, there it is. Okay, you got it. This is a picture of the brain. So I wanted to share this slide with you, and I have another slide of the brain that I wanted to share with you because I want to give you some. I wanted to give you some idea of what stress, the biology of stress. Okay, so if you're looking at this slide, there's the prefrontal cortex. Now, the prefrontal cortex is where it's the part of the brain that controls planning. It helps us to focus, and it also helps us to make decisions. What researchers have found is that when we experience chronic stress, that chronic stress and high cortisol levels, and I'll mention cortisol a little bit later, but cortisol is one of the hormones that's released that keeps that stress response going, keeps it churning. And when we are exposed to high levels of cortisol, then researchers have found that this prefrontal cortex actually shrinks. And so, because of that, people who experience high levels of stress have trouble making decisions, and they are emotionally reactive. It doesn't take much to set them off. It doesn't take much to set them off. And so it's very important for us to learn, I think, the biology around stress so that we can understand what's going on in our bodies. So that's one of the reasons I wanted to share this slide and the next slide that I'm going to share with you. The other thing that I will also mention is that people who have experienced extreme trauma have difficulty remembering things. People have difficulty making decisions, and they are on edge a lot. That's because of those high cortisol levels that are being maintained in their blood system. There we go, part of the brain that is affected by stress is the hippocampus. Now, our hippocampus, and I borrowed this graphic I Googled, and this graphic came up and it was just perfect. But I also put I wanted to give credit to the person that owns it, and it's at the bottom here. The hippocampus is this part of the brain, that blue part on this graphic. And the hippocampus is the part of the brain that's very critical for learning and memory. When we have high cortisol levels, it disrupts our ability to retrieve memories. You can't remember things, right? It also disrupts the ability to form memories. Okay, so that's very critical. If we're not able to form memories, it's very difficult for us to protect ourselves, right? It is because the brain uses memories, uses what it's been exposed to help us to keep us safe. So the hippocampus, that blue ring there, um, when we are under a lot of stress or we experience have high cortisol levels, we also experience brain fog, it's forgetfulness. It's hard to recall information. The amygdala is also a part of the brain that's very important to us, right? The amygdala is the threat detector. And as you see, it's that blue little bubble there. Um, you see the line, it's a blue little bubble, purple bubble there. The amygdala is the threat detector. When we perceive, when we see a threat, the amygdala will start working. And I'm going to tell you exactly what happens in just a moment. But the amygdala will start working and it sets off a chain reaction that, again, is biological in nature. What happens, however, is when we experience chronic stress, the amygdala becomes overactive. And it's constantly scanning and screening for threats. When the amygdala is overactive and it's constantly scanning for threats, that is the start of anxiety. So we want to, again, be very aware of how aware of the biology of stress. Okay. And I'm going to go into that in just a moment. Um, I want to remind you too that as we're talking about stress, I do have the 7-day stress reset guide available to you. It's a free download on my YouTube channel, and it will help you to reset during the day. As a matter of fact, I need to share this that research has shown that people who experience chronic stress have difficulty completing tasks. It takes them longer to complete tasks, and they have difficulty just solving problems than those who um, are not overstressed. So if you download, or you should download the 7-day reset guide, 7-day stress reset guide, there are many resets built into each of those 7 days. And so it's available to you and it's free. So I've talked a little bit about the chronic stress. I've talked about parts of the brain. I want to also give you additional information about the science behind stress. So what happens? So basically, when we perceive a threat, when we perceive a threat, or we are experiencing an actual threat, or we're just imagining a threat, the amygdala, that little purple bubble on the screen there, initiates. It starts to send a signal to the hypothalamus. And the hypothalamus actually acts as a command center. So if you look on this diagram, the hypothalamus is like a turquoise little bubble in the middle of the graphic. Okay. So the hypothalamus, which is the command center, and that command center it talks to both the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. It talks to both systems. And it's like it's in charge, right? It's like probably in its little, like it almost looks like a spaceship when you on this graphic, but it's in there and it's controlling things, right? It's there managing all of this biology. But the amygdala, which tells us, hey, there's a threat, something's happening, I've scanned, and yes, we've got to be careful. We have to do whatever it is to make sure we're safe, sends that signal to the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus then starts releasing adrenaline. Adrenaline is the same as epinephrine, right? So it starts releasing adrenaline. Now, when adrenaline is released, what you'll notice and what you will feel in your body is that your heart is going to start beating faster. And you're also going to start breathing more rapidly. The heart beats faster so that it can get blood to all of the parts of the body. It gets there faster. It wants lots of blood and to the parts of the body, right? And you're breathing faster so that you can get more oxygen to your different parts of the body, because the body is getting ready to fight or to flee, right? Fight or flight. It gets ready to fight or to flee. So you have to be ready to do that. So your heart is pumping to get blood to all of the parts of your body. It's also, you're breathing faster so that you can get more oxygen. Your blood vessels, your blood vessels, your air, the vessels that bring in more air, more oxygen, all have expanded so that you can get all of this good blood, this good oxygenated blood into your extremities. Okay, not only that, your blood pressure is going to go up because the heart is pumping faster, and your digestive system it just shuts down basically, so that because you're taking all of the energy away from non-essential components of your body. So your digestive system, if you're trying to get away from something that's after you, you're not going to want to, you don't care about your food, right? Your stomach doesn't, it's just going to shut down. Your digestive system's just not going to work efficiently because your energy has to go to the parts of your body that are going to keep you safe. You'll also notice, and I don't know that we actually notice this, but our senses are sharper when we're in fight or flight mode. Our eyes, our ability to see is sharper, our hearing is sharper, our senses, all of our senses are much sharper than they were when we weren't stressed or under a threat. You'll also feel an increase of energy. There's a release of glucose, which is blood sugar, as well as fats that are stored in your body. There's a release of those so that we can have the energy that we need to do whatever we want. You often hear about people running, running away. They're like gone. Or you hear about women who've picked cars up off of their children if they were hit by a car. All of that is because, not only because of the adrenaline, well, it starts with the adrenaline, but it's also caused by the stress response. So that's what the amygdala does. The amygdala sends that distress signal to the hypothalamus, and the hypothalamus gets on its job, and it's the control and command center. Then I talked about the sympathetic system, nervous system, and the parasympathetic nervous system. You can think of it a couple of ways. The sympathetic nervous system is like the gas pedal. When the sympathetic nervous system is initiated, it is it's moving the stress response. That's what the stress response, it controls the stress response. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but it's the gas that's fueling. Aha, got the word. The gas pedal that's fueling the stress response. And as long as we perceive or think we're under threat, the gas pedal is going to be pushed. Sometimes it's pushed quite a bit. We're flooring it, and sometimes we've eased off and we're just pulsing it. But either way, if we feel we're under stress, we're pushing the gas pedal, and that sympathetic nervous system is in play. The parasympathetic nervous system can be known as the brake. When the parasympathetic nervous system is initiated, that's when we're braking and we're slowing things down and we're coming back to ourselves, right? And again, the hypothalamus, the command center, is controlling both of those. It's either releasing adrenaline, causing the sympathetic nervous system to hit the gas pedal, or it's initiating the parasympathetic nervous system and initiating the relaxation response. So these things, the amygdala, the hypothalamus, and even the pituitary gland, all have an important role as it relates to the stress response. So, talked about a little bit of the science. Let's also talk about there's a second component to the stress response. The hypothalamus, okay, let me go back. So, there's like another wave. I'll put it that way. The initial wave was that release of adrenaline, right? And a lot of times we don't know that it's happening. It just happens instantly, instantaneously. But then when we're experiencing chronic stress, there's a second wave that happens. And that second wave includes the hypothalamus, the pituitary gland, and our adrenal glands. And basically, what happens is with that second wave, we get a constant stream of cortisol in our bodies. Constant stream. We're constantly revved up and we're constantly on high alert. That's really what happens when we are experiencing chronic stress. The hypothalamus, the pituitary gland, and our adrenal glands are constantly pushing cortisol into our blood system. Now, when that happens, and let's face it, here in the US, we are stressed out, y'all. we are so stressed. We are stressed. I mean, we are everybody's stressed. Everybody's stressed. We're all stressed. When we're experiencing chronic stress, it does physical damage. It does physical damage to us, to our bodies, because of the because of what it does to because it's well, let me just tell you what it does, okay? It keeps our blood pressure high. That's one thing. Our blood pressure remains high when we're under chronic stress. Remember, I said that when the stress response is initiated, it causes our blood pressure to increase. That's because our heart's beating harder and we're breathing faster. So our blood pressure is higher. So it increases our blood pressure and our blood pressure stays high. Because of that, it also causes damage, not because of it, but in addition to, it causes damage to our arteries as well as our blood vessels. The cortisol does. I'm sorry, adrenaline does. Constant adrenaline does. This makes us more prone to heart attack and stroke. So if you're under chronic stress, the chances of you have a higher chance of having heart attack or stroke because of the damage to your arteries and your blood vessels, as well as due to the high blood pressure you might be experiencing. Not only do we have chronic, persistent adrenaline being pumped into our blood system when when we're experiencing chronic stress, we also have elevated cortisol. Cortisol is it helps when you have a real threat, right, that you must deal with. However, the one other thing that cortisol does is it helps to replenish the energy that we've depleted. And I told you that we release glucose and we release what? Glucose, and we release fats that have been stored. Well, when we have cortisol being pumped into our blood system constantly, what happens? It leads to a buildup of fat tissue and weight gain. That's why people, when you're stressed, it's hard to lose weight, or when you're stressed, you gain weight. Also, because of that, the cortisol causes you to eat more. You have a healthier appetite. You want to eat more. So it's twofold. It's twofold. So here we are, physical damage, because stress is a physical reaction. Oh, I'm getting stressed out just trying to get all of this out. So let me share this with you before I go on to the breaks that actually work. So, in the 7-day stress reset guide, on day one, I actually have a I actually have a morning practice that will help you to um, know that you're safe, right? Because stress is all about how we don't feel safe. When we don't feel safe, it initiates the stress response. And so, the first day of the 7-day stress reset guide, I help you to recognize that you're safe. And I provided you with a morning practice that you can do right off the bat to remind yourself and to assure yourself of your safety. So, I want you to download it. It's free. Just go and download it. But let's now talk about the four breaks that actually work. Okay. One of the breaks that actually work is movement. Movement based breaks actually work. Standing, walking, stretching, any gentle movement that you might, oh, that felt good, that you might want to experience, movement helps. That's the first one. Another one, take a sensory break. Sensory breaks, listen to instrumental music. Sometimes I put on jazz. Jazz is so cool, like cool jazz. Ooh, we put on some jazz. Put on some instrumental music. Nothing that you have to think about, something that's quiet and calm. Also, fragrance. I have one of my coworkers, a couple of my coworkers gave me a candle lamp for Christmas, and I have that in my office, and it has the candle scent is linen, because I told her that I liked the fragrance of fresh linen. And so they gave me a linen candle, and it's so relaxing. It's so calming to me. It's crisp and it smells so good. So, fragrance, something that's calming, something that's relaxing. Drink warm tea or something that's warm. Caffeinated, something that's not caffeinated, okay? But something warm. Go outside or look out the window if you can. Look at the clouds. When I'm feeling stressed or pressured, I like to go outside and just look up to the sky. If it's dark, I like to look at the moon and the stars. If it's light out during the day, I like to look at the clouds. It's very calming to me. So, sensory break, movement based breaks, sensory breaks. Then you can also take a mindfulness or breathing break. As I said, that the stress 7-day stress reset guide has breathing exercises in them. I am posting on every Thursday, most Thursdays, I'm posting guided mindfulness relaxations. So use those. They include breathing. Breathing signals safety. Breathing is a great way to initiate the relaxation response. Breathing tells you that you are safe. Slow, calm breathing tells you that you are safe. Breathe in for 4 and exhale for 6. The key is the exhale. The longer exhale signals to your brain that you are safe. The fourth break that actually works is the disconnection and the nature break. Nature and disconnection break. Nature has a restorative power to it. If you've ever gone camping or gone hiking in the woods, if you've ever gone fishing, or what else can you do in outside? Fishing or just walking. There's a lot of restorative power in nature. Just go outside if you can. Go outside. Feel the sun on your face, on your skin. Feel the wind, the breeze, the light breeze on your face, on your skin. Thank you for the thumbs up on your face or your skin. Listen to the birds. Look at the squirrels. The squirrels are playing. Look at the squirrels running around playing. Go outside in nature. Look at your shadow if the sun is out. Check out a rainbow after a rain. Enjoy nature because it is restorative. So, we've talked about many things today. I've stumbled through many things today. Horseback riding. Yes, horseback riding. Exactly. Yes, Barbara. Horseback riding is great. Actually, being around pets, if you have a pet, a dog or a cat, they are very calming and very relaxing. If you work in a space where you're able to bring your pet to work, that can also be very calming as well. We've talked about, and I've shared, useless breaks. And I've given you 4 stress breaks that actually work. I talked about chronic stress. I talked about the science behind stress. And then I shared the 4 breaks that actually work. I'm so glad that you joined me today. I look forward to seeing you again next time right here on Stress Talk Live. I will include the download in the on our um, on our post so that you can download the 4 types of breaks if you feel that it'll be helpful. Don't forget to subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you next time. I'm Marcyline Bailey. Take good care.